Thank you. Thanks, Michael. So kia ora, everybody, and welcome on board for the first webinar in our series for the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition, which is in partnership with MOTAT and TENZ. Before we start today, we're just going to start the session with a karakia that has been gifted to Technology Education New Zealand. You are more than welcome to say this karakia along with me if you want to. Mauri ora kia a mātou, arahina mātou ki a mātou mahi, ki mihi he huarahi mō te kaupapa o Mautaranga o Hangarau, a whina atu, a whina mai, te pu e here ne I a mātou, hui e tae ki e. So kia ora everybody and welcome to the session today. Like we said, we are here for our Solve for Tomorrow competition, which is set up and run by Samsung. The Solve for Tomorrow competition has been designed to build interest and proficiency in STEAM. And like we were just saying a minute ago, that is science, technology, engineering, arts and maths. And this challenges year 5 to 10 students to show how design thinking can be applied to help to improve the communities that we all live in. And they can be local communities and they can be global communities. It is entirely up to you. Since 2010, the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow contest has awarded $20 million in Samsung technology and classroom materials to more than 2,500 public schools in the United States of America. So I had to look down and read those digits at the time because I can't remember the top of my head. And now across the world, it reaches 1.3 million students across 33 countries every year. So we're really excited to be involved in this amazing initiative. MOTAT partnered with Samsung in 2020 to bring the first Solve for Tomorrow competition to New Zealand. And the first New Zealand competition was run in 2021, where we had a staggering 75 entries overall, which is incredible for a new competition when we're first starting off. And we're hoping that we're going to beat that total this year. Fingers crossed. In 2021 as well, TENZ, so Technology Education New Zealand, came on board with a suite of resources to help with the actual working through the design process for helping and supporting teachers and students. So a suite of resources, and we also supported with feedback, preliminary feedback, and some of the judging as well for the competition too. So welcome to our webinar team. Over the next 6 webinars, we have lots and lots of different parts of information, and the webinars you'll find out are broken down into different sections linking to the design process. The team that we have on board to actually help and support you with the different resources for the competition, as you can see, are on the screen. So we have Julie Baker involved, who is our education manager at the Museum of MOTAT, Museum of Transport and Technology. And Julie has been involved with this competition since the beginning, and there's a little bit of information about her and her background. As you can see, she comes from a real scientific and technology background and has a lot of knowledge and interest in that area. My name is Sarah Washbrook. I am Deputy Chair of Technology Education New Zealand, which is a subject association that helps and supports teachers of technology across the whole of Aotearoa. I've been teaching technology in STEM for over 25 years and have taught a wide range of different technology areas, from all the different types of materials and DVC through to foods and fabrics and digital technologies. So bringing all the different types of technologies together with teaching and learning. And I was nationally recognised with my work in technology education by being the first technology teacher in New Zealand to receive the Prime Minister's Science Teachers Award in 2020. And also on board today, we have Michael. Michael hasn't put a photograph on there yet, but you might be able to see him on the screen. He might be able to give you a wave. I'm not sure if you can see them co-hosting there. Michael is the lead educator at MOTAT as well, has been a primary teacher for 14 years and is experienced in lots of different areas of education and STEAM too. So as you can see, we have a vast amount of knowledge just from the webinar team here with you for the next series. So we'll start off by exploring some of the winners of the competition from last year, and we'll showcase what they actually submitted for part of the project. So you can see that when you actually submit your final proposal and you do submit your final project, you can present it in different ways. So as judges, we are looking for different things, and there will be more information on rubrics and how we will look for the criteria that you need to be assessed against in other webinars. Today, we're just going to introduce these to you just to get the ball rolling and hopefully inspire some ideas from you as well. So we'll have a look at some of the different winners from last year. The first one we're going to have a look at is the Kitchen Tools Reimagined project. This was where the students developed a cutting tool which was customized to meet the needs of a physically disabled student so she could join in classroom cooking activities. So when the students they collaborated and worked together, and when they presented their work, they did so in different ways. So one of the things that they submitted was, as you can see, they created a slideshow going through their design process. And so this was the background to the process. And all the way through this, you can see it is very informative, and it goes through the problem that they needed to solve and the stakeholder that they were designing for. So who is the main person who they're going to come up with ideas for? They identified the problems that they were trying to solve for that person as well. So how were they trying to make that person's life better and easier using technological outcomes? They explained why they were going to do the project and the links to the design thinking process. And then the students all started to work together. And as you can see, they worked with lots of other people too. So it wasn't just themselves in the classroom. They actually connect with lots of different people to actually gain research and to find out a lot more information, which will help them with the design and the development of their project. And as they go through the design development stages, you can see there is lots of different types of what we call in technology functional modeling. So functional modeling could be sketches. You can see they're drawing ideas and coming up with ideas on a whiteboard there. But then they're also making lots and lots of different functional models using different materials to test how something would work. Is it going to be easy to hold? The process and techniques for using something, sizes, shapes, all those kinds of things. And they carried on then testing and trialing and prototyping their idea. And as you can see, they analysed their work so they could actually see what worked well and what they might need to do to improve their designs after testing and trialing. And you can see that this is what we call an iterative design process. They get feedback from some of the things they've made, and then they go back and they improve it. And this process is repeated several times until they end up with a final prototype that they designed and made, and they tested out to make sure it was going to work properly. And as you can see, not only did they actually get their main stakeholder, the main student who this was designed for, to test and trial it, they've actually got lots of other people to test and trial it too, because they realized that there may be more than one final end user for a product like this. So it could help and support other people in the community as well. Now I've just given you an overview to go alongside that document that you can see was just been submitted by the students. They also prepared a video to actually come through. So I'm going to leave it to the students and they'll tell you a bit more.
This challenge was these are amazing boards. Oh yeah, we had a stakeholder and then she couldn't her hands was a bit different from remove cutting. We couldn't control the blood, so this real that. So one of this we came up with an idea where we can control the cutting and it stays in place with the line and they cut straight on the line. This stop the food from running. Let me try the cups. And now, yes.
So as you can see, the judges were able to get a really good idea of the project, the problem, who they were working with, and the design process that the students went through to solve their problem and for their stakeholder. And you can see it was really successful in the end. The second project we're going to have a look at is the non-invasive diabetes testing. This is a blood glucose testing device as an alternative to what is usually used today with a finger prick test. The students themselves once again created a presentation, so we'll just explore that presentation really quickly. So as you can see, the students worked in a group and they came together and they have presented all their design process that they've worked through. They explained really clearly the background context in regards to what the problem is and what they need to actually solve. They also linked it directly to a need, and this one, as you can see, is more of a national need for many, many different people in New Zealand. So sometimes your projects can be aimed at a wider audience, not necessarily just one person. You can see that they've had to go away and do quite a lot of background research into their project to actually find out what it is they need to do and how to solve the problem. And here you can see they're doing some analysis of current devices so they can actually find out what works well and potentially if they can find any improvements to the device too. So once they've done their research, they use their research to help them to decide how they're going to develop their own solutions to the problem. As you can see here, you can use a wide variety of different technologies to help to support you with the design process. So in the previous project, you can see it was very hands-on using lots of materials. Here you can see there is a mixture of different types of technologies to help to solve the problem, and you can mix and mingle them. We'll come through to a video in a minute. What was really apparent with this project as well is the stakeholder research that went on board alongside the project too. So the students here made sure that they actually did link to real life people all of the time. And you can see here, people were talking about how do we link to STEM. We can see here that definitely we've got a lot of science principles coming in, and we've got a lot of mathematics coming in to help and support the analysis of the data that's coming through as well. So as you can see, we have a project which has gone through lots of design processes, and they finally conclude the work as well. If I pop into the video, the students themselves will be able to explain the project a little bit more with you.
Ketones are a chemical that are produced when the liver breaks down fat. The ketones then go into your bloodstream and circulate throughout your whole body, including your lungs. When you exhale different gases such as carbon dioxide, oxygen, and including ketones. And then my device will convert those ketones levels into numbers and then send it to the app via Bluetooth. Then using a formula, it'll convert the ketones level into a blood glucose level. And this is a demonstration. You first turn on the device and then open the app and connect it to the Bluetooth. Press start and you start to breathe. The harder I breathe, the harder the ketones level are, but as you can see, it starts to slow down and give us the actual number, which is, these are now my ketones level, which is very high since I just ate a chocolate. But since I have no diabetes, my ketones level would usually be a lot lower. Please stop.
So this group in particular, they not only did they submit their slideshow showing their work and their progress through the design process, and obviously they've submitted their video. What also helped to support these students and helping the judges to understand the process that they had gone through as they kept a logbook, a diary of the progress through the design process too. So you can see that students can submit a wide range of different documents or videos to help to support the information about the design thinking, the process, the problem they're solving, and who is they're designing for. Both of those projects in particular, the judges were extremely impressed with the stakeholder engagement. So making sure that they were working with their stakeholders for feedback, for getting any input and any advice, and for obviously the user testing. You saw some of the examples of that. The diabetes group as well, they also work with Diabetes New Zealand and actually recruited 43 diabetics for their user acceptance testing or their user testing. So they got real life people to test and trial their final prototypes to make sure it was working and working successfully. The Kitchen Tools group also worked with stakeholders. They worked with AUT design students and did their testing and trialing directly with their actual stakeholder too. So this is what the judges for these two projects were very impressed with. Now, the third project we're just going to show you will actually identify that you can come up with an idea, a need to solve, but it can actually be much smaller. It doesn't have to be a very big, all-inclusive project. It can be for something much closer to home if you wish to. And so we'll have a look at Brooklyn's Nighttime Hero.
Kia ora. My name is Brooklyn, and for my project for the Samsung Change for Good competition is that I want to design a product that will help small children from dropping and losing their teddy/toy that they sleep with at night. For my project, I've done quite a lot of research, like the physical and functional attributes and also the constraints, as well as many possible research questions, plus ideas I would later put into consideration. Making my project, I had to brainstorm ideas to turn into my final product, like types of fabric and what it would look like and what materials I would use. For my first prototype, I used a silicone wristband which wasn't very comfortable or attractive to a child. Something softer and more colorful would be right. The magnet is only attached by sellotape, so it could easily be removed, and swallowing a magnet has major health consequences. The magnet's strength also needs to be greater to be able to attract teddies of a bigger size. So for this, I listed the physical and functional attributes and color-coded them. Red meaning it needs to be changed, green meaning it's fine, and orange meaning it could probably change. For my second prototype, I used some leather and punched holes to attach a connector, and also so you can adjust the size to be bigger or smaller. And I also have updated the physical and functional attributes. For my action plan, all I have to do is add the fabric, and that should make soft and comfortable and look attractive to the child green. And on top of that, the magnet would be under the fabric and would make safe for the child green. So I would have the attributes finished as well as have the final product. I now have the final product complete, and the physical and functional attributes are all fully green. How it works is there is a fabric all around the leather bracelet, and there is a slit you can open to access the connector to change the size. And if the slit is closed, the magnet is concealed to the child. Thank you for watching. I hope you consider my idea. Big thank you to Mrs. Sorensen, our math school teacher.
So as you can see from that presentation, it can be a much smaller project working with just one stakeholder who has a very specific need. What I really liked about that presentation, and this is probably coming from my technology teacher background, was all the technology vocabulary that the student used to explain what they were doing with their design process. And they obviously use some of the resources that we helped to prepare for them, which we will show you later on in the webinar, where you can access these. There are lots of teaching resources to help you through the design process. And it was very obvious that this student actually worked through those processes to help them with their own design thinking model as well. So as you can see from all the different winners and the different projects from last year here, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can submit your idea for the project. You can use presentations, you can use videos, logbooks, all of these are acceptable. Really, it is down to you as the designer to decide what is the best way to let us, the judges, know what's happening with your project, why it's important, and the process that you've actually gone through to come up with your final idea. So we'll now move on to the key dates. So the competition is live. Entries are actually open from now. We've actually started a launch event at Howitt College. That was the diabetes testing project on the 10th of May. And the students actually were all there and they presented their project to others as well. The key dates that we now have, as you can see on here, are the key dates for submission. So you do have quite a bit of time until the entries close. So the final entries for the competition actually close on the 4th of September. However, you'll see highlighted in orange there is a chance for you to submit your overall project plan. Now, what that means is you can submit your plan for the project and the judges will have a look at it and we will be able to give you some feedback on your plan prior to you completing the project and submitting the final articles if you want to. So we do advise, if you can, submitting the project plan, because obviously then you get personalized feedback for your own project on how to improve it, especially using that design process model. Be aware that even though entries close on the 4th of September, you won't be notified until the 22nd of September, because the judges, if we have over 75 entries, it takes quite a long time to go through and assess all the different submissions that are popped in there as well. So once again, we have different resources, like we stated earlier, to support. Now, all of this information you will find is on the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition website. And you can see here really clearly that there is a direct link there. Now, don't worry if you haven't got access to the slides. We are going to give you access to this slideshow so you can click on these links really, really simply. Another key piece of information which has got everything all in one place for you is the one that's in green on there, which is the educator information sheet. All right. Now, this information sheet will give you lots of useful information all in one place. So it's got all the dates, how to enter, and any other links that you need. So that's really your one-stop shop for all the information for you as you go through the project. Now, like we said, to help and support you to go through the design process, we have quite a few different resources to help you. So 2 years ago, TENZ helped to design and create some PDF slideshows, breaking down the design thinking process using the technology practice strand of the curriculum. And you can see here that it is all clearly broken down for you. So creating initial concepts, writing attributes, researching into a brief, developing an idea, producing and trialing a prototype, and evaluating a prototype. Now, what we're doing this year, so you said, I mentioned that we were going to have 6 webinars. So you can see here that we have different webinars which also support the learning and the resource from the TENZ resource page that you can have the link to as well from the Samsung website too. So you can join on board and you can find out more, and there may be some more ideas and suggestions from myself, Julie, and Michael when it comes to actually going through the design process. Or if you want to have a really good start and just get stuck into it, you can probably have a look at some of those other resources which are already there and live for you to explore. If you do want to sign up for the webinar, you can click on the links there. You can also see there's some links in blue to the different webinars, or you will usually find on the Solve for Tomorrow website page, there's usually an event registration link as well on the first page. So you can go in different ways. And this is the point where we've given our main introduction to the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition. This is your chance to ask any questions if you wish to. So you are more than welcome to unmute if you have any questions, and either Michael or myself, or possibly Hayley, who's from Solve for Tomorrow, we may be able to answer your questions for you, or you can pop them into the chat. We'll just give you a minute or two, and just whilst you're thinking of questions, I'm not sure if Michael or Hayley want to add anything in particular, if we've missed any key information.
No, I think you've covered it all nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice snapshot of what Solve for Tomorrow is all about. Thanks, Sarah. Yes, question, Rowan.
Sorry, I just had one question. And just thinking about, Dylan's idea of the strand beast, and he was thinking he might do something different. Can the kids enter a couple of different things, or is it just a once-off?
That's a very good question. I'm stumped for that one actually at the moment. I might have to defer to Hayley, and I think Julie's on board as well. She's just I think she's online through the chat as well.
I'm sorry, the banging and crashing in the background is my grandson who's just found the egg poacher, so please bear with me. Yes, they can. Every entry, stands alone. So if someone has got the energy and the time to put together 2 really great entries, there's nothing to stop them entering 2 really great entries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Fantastic. Well, I think we've done very well. If we have one question from people, that's not too bad. Thank you very much for joining us today. Before we finish, just so that you're aware, if you wish to have access to this slideshow so that you can review and use the videos and the content, or you can have easy access to the links, you can either, if you have a phone, you can scan the bit.ly QR code there and it will take you to this actual slideshow, or you can use the bit.ly that's on the screen at the moment. So then you have access to this to help and support you too. Fingers crossed the bit.ly works. I'm hoping that somewhere it does go through. The webinar, like we said at the very beginning, has been recorded and it will be made available on the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow website and the TENZ YouTube channel. So please watch this space. So if you want to watch this again, or potentially you may want to show this resource to your students in your classes, you're more than welcome to do that as well to help and support them too.
I've also just popped in the chat the Solve for Tomorrow email address. So if you have a question that you've forgotten to ask, or you'd rather just write it down, feel free to get in touch with us. It's just solvefortomorrownz@samsung.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hayley. And that wraps up today's session on the introduction for the Solve for Tomorrow competition. On behalf of myself, our other amazing webinarees and our judges, and obviously Solve for Tomorrow Samsung themselves. Sorry, I'm losing my words now. I've mostly talked too much this afternoon. We just want to say thank you for joining us today and taking the time out of very busy schedules to be here with us. And we wish you all the best with your designing. I'm looking forward to seeing the innovation, the creativity that's coming from all the students out there, and just give it a go. And there's something that I've always taught my students when going through the design process, and it's called fail faster. And you're thinking, probably, what's that? It's actually a game design mantra. And what it means is you go through this kind of iterative design process, and you go through lots of testing and trialing as quickly as you can to come up with lots and lots of ideas to see how you can improve and develop the designs, making sure, obviously, that whatever it is you're creating is still suitable for the stakeholders that you're designing for. So on behalf of all of us today, I just want to say kia kite, thank you very much, and I will finish the session with the final karakia. Kia amato katoa, kua muto mato amato mahi, me kopapa hoki. Arahina mato ka amato mahi ano, kia whakatapua, mato ki na kopapa, me na mea e whakapono. Manakitia mai mato. Kia ora, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see some of your entries in the future. Ka kite.
Ka kite.
Ka kite. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.